All right, so the beauty of doing them as vectors, your type as vectors with layer styles, is then they can always be slightly modified and keep all of your decisions. And you can always just make duplicates of them if you wanted to as well. So I'm going to duplicate my not my fault type there. And then I'm going to Option Command T it. Hold down Shift to distort it, and I'm just going to shrink it down a little bit. I'm just going to squash it. Just like that. And then I can use my arrow keys and move it up a little bit, and maybe to the side just a tiny bit. Like that, because I like how that breaks the border a little bit better. And remember, I did it as a duplicate, so if I needed to rasterize it, I can, in order to get rid of the I and the D that are there, that I don't need, because I want to deal with those separately. Okay, now I want to make the I and the D, all the components that make those letters, right, which are the line art and the fill. Take both of those, duplicate them, combine those, and now I can modify with Option Command T their placement a little bit with all the colors. So this is where we're really fine-tuning it. And I'm just going to enlarge them a little bit so they break the border a little bit more convincingly. Like that. Right? Mindful of tangencies. And I can even make it lopsided. So I can do things like distort or perspective or skew. Because now I'm working with a background as well. But they're all derived from my vector. All right, and now with my layer styles that are giving me my coloring for the not my fault, I am going to create some new text, a new text layer, just to show you how these layer styles can be moved. And that was tiny, so let me make it a little bit bigger. Oh, this is just, I ain't gonna have to do it. Okay, so now I'm gonna make those huge. Let's make it 444 pixels. Even that's not big enough. $1,200. Come on, what's going on? There we go. That's too big. Not 120, or not 12,000, but 1,200 pixels. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to move that up above. Trying to find it. Come on. There it is. Oh, it's only at 11% opacity, that's why. Okay, and I'm going to make these ellipses. And the beauty of it is, those are really simple ellipses. I can affect their look, based on a lot of things. Like I can warp them. I haven't shown you this, but you can arc and then set it So I'm going to want ellipses kind of like that. I can distort them differently from one end to the other. Something like that. Okay, and then because they're still type tools, I can play with Option and play with their kerning, with Option and the keys, right? And then Option Command T, I can play with just their free transform. But I wanted these kind of ellipses here. I think that one's a little too strong, so let me use the type tools again. I'm just going to copy this one and paste it. And get rid of this one. There we go. There we go. I like that. Now, I'm going to take those, and I'm going to put the layer style I used for my fault, not my fault, on them. So I'm going to copy the layer style from this layer, copy it, and then apply it to my new text layer. And then I can still Option Command T. Let's skew it. Let's make it a little bit taller. A little tilted. So once you've designed one area, you can keep messing with it. And I might take all my backgrounds and find just the right amount of border for that. Push it a little bit further. A little bit narrower. And you're just making your final adjustments to your poster. Keeps going a little too far. Okay. All right, so now I am ready to save two things, my two final requirements for this. One is the colored type and one is the full poster. So let me save the whole poster first. Check your edges. I want to make sure everything's clean, right? I've got a textured background. I've got a white border. Good. So now I save my work, and then I'm going to save it as a JPEG to put onto Canvas. And this would also be what the PSD that we make our TIFF file out of for printing. But a JPEG, because it's going to fill the whole rectangle. And it's assignment 6. This is my finished poster. Very good. Good luck, Seth. All right, the next thing is I'm going to save it with the background turned off, so it's just my color type. Let me turn all these background layers off. And you can see all my color type, which makes a good spot illustration and sticker on its own, right? You can see how this could be a t-shirt as well. And so because I don't want the background to show, I'm going to save that as a PNG to post. So even though it was designed to fit within the poster background, you take the poster background away, it should still work, still be very readable. And this is my color type solution. Okay, now I go to the assignment and I add these next two requirements. So the third requirement after the black vector type is your color type solution. And it's okay if you have the background turned on for it, but I want to see what your design is for the color type. Because I'll be able to tell what the work is you did, whether you save it as a PNG or JPEG or screen grab. It should be a color version of your vector type. It's in assignment 6. And remember, when you save new files out of Photopea, they go into downloads, or at least mine do. But you want to make sure you have the PSD that has all your layers. So next class is when we'll do the presentation critique on these posters, which include your spot illustrations. Right? And shrink it to fit. And all those dissolve kind of texture effects will look a lot more subtle when they're actually saved as a JPEG. And then the final requirement is the finished poster. With colored and textured background and white border. And that's how you get the very most out of your spot illustration and your type design. So from those same assets, right? From the spot illustration, the type, I have all these variations, just like a logo. They can be colored. They can be printed on a standard format. They can be free floating. And you can make additions as you go. Right? And then just make sure you know where your PSD is, so if you want to print it on big poster paper as part of your final portfolio, you have it. All right.